Fine. Here we are. This is the one, which could be the series of the day. We start off in the bottom left-hand side here. Douyu Cup, Group C, Day 1. First match of the tournament for him. Our blue Terran player from Team Liquid is Clem. Up against the red Zerg top right-hand side from ENCE Esports. He needs no introduction, but he gets one anyways. It is Serral. As we go into this series again, if this one's up on YouTube, then enjoy what's probably a masterpiece of a series. And do not forget to hit that subscribe button to find more awesome uploads from myself, Wardy. And of course, do hit that like button on the video as well. Or maybe comment down below and be like, oh, MG, Serral Clem so good. Something like that. It's the sort of thing we want to hear. It's the sort of thing we're going to see, right? This should hopefully be an awesome series. We get ourselves going on Everdream for map number 1. Kind of a rough introduction to the group from Clem, but, you know, his first match of the tournament going to be against Serral. A couple TVZs in a row from him maybe helps him out a little bit as well, right? He plays Serral. Next match will be Rogue for Clem as well. As you do see our Overlord moving around into the center of the map. The Extractor building into the side of the main base, and again, a couple extra drones popping out. This rack's about to finish. Nothing too crazy to talk about yet. Serral being very cautious with the Overlords, though. Is moving them around to check for proxy racks locations. So he's really being careful about this. Really wants to make sure Clem's not trying to sneak away with a quick advantage. And you might be wondering, why is the first Overlord turned back around? I guess it's because Serral would rather this Overlord continues to scout this pathway and then get into a position to scout later, versus here, this Overlord kind of just continuing across the map. So yeah, the negative for this is that Serral obviously doesn't get an Overlord across the map or very far forward. I mean, this Overlord on the bottom was rallied to this high ground, so he's not going to have an Overlord to check into the main. He's not going to be able to double check the natural just in case. So he does miss that kind of info. He might go Overlord speed just to kind of make up for his Overlord being far away, and then to check what the, you know, initial build order really is from Clem. You know, is he going BC? Is he going for a fast 3 command center? It's definitely a possibility, as Serral keeps one worker on gas, so it's not a lot of gas mining. He already has the drone on the third base, so he can bring this into position and start the hatchery. Reaper is not going to be able to deny that as it busies itself trying to deal some damage to the initial Zerglings on the natural. So try and deal some damage there as the factory from Clem starts in the main. And just seeing Overlords of Serral moving out through the center on the right side. Again, the Link speed is coming up. The Queen about to be popping on the natural. Those Lings go in. Rock's taking damage. The starport from Clem in the main base. This is double gas. It's not 3cc. I feel like this is going to be one of Clem's kind of preferred openers. He's actually going to pull back and go with the tech collapse. He doesn't go for another Marine, which would help to deny an Overlord scout here. Let's go straight to the tech collapse. This actually might just be a cloaked Banshee. And I was going to say initially with the barracks here, I was thinking maybe like a Viking or a Liberator with the stim pack. Clem loves those openers, but this one may be a cloaked Banshee setup. The thing is, Serral is that player nowadays who will throw in some roach aggression every now and then, keep you on your toes, and what Serral is so good at doing is changing up the kind of roach aggression he throws your way, from it being like a pressure build to an all-in. And so it's very difficult to, you know, really respond to that. So the cloaked Banshee just shuts down any pressure at all. Unfortunately for Clem, there's not any pressure coming. There is no roach run from Serral. The good news for Clem is obviously the Banshees still are a good unit to have, right? And the other good news is that this isn't actually a super fast lair just yet. I guess it will start soon, though. I think 100 gas in the bank, not really much else to spend it on. I imagine this is a lair, and then the lair is very useful from there, as you actually see some Lings getting in. 2 SCVs. Hellion has to go into the main base, and he actually lost a Marine as well, so that takes away his anti-air. So now this Overlord's going to get straight in for the complete scout. Sees the Banshee. Well, that's a nice little play from Serral, just setting up with a couple of Lings. And those couple of Lings get so much done as the Hellions continuing out over that far right-hand side. Stim pack is building up from Clem here. The Marine going in after the Overlord as well. I'm just going to see the Hellions and a Reaper will go up to the high ground with the Baneling Nest. Onto the natural expansion. Queens are there, able to push the Hellions away. So no Hellion pressure successful for Clem just yet, but we'll be able to, of course. He's trying to move around these Hellions. He's trying to catch the creep tumors if possible. First Banshee doesn't do anything. Queen's in position, but it doesn't take damage either. Now the Queen's out of position, but the Lings are in the natural, and Clem knows it, so he doesn't commit to the dive, but I liked it. Definitely got my heart racing for a moment or two. Don't know how Serral feels. Serral's probably like, Yeah, I knew he was never going to commit in there, so probably just doesn't even care. Probably didn't even think about it. That's Clem. Well, he'll back away, so it's going to be the Hellion Banshee combo. Still with some potential to deal damage, even if he didn't do much yet. Has that third CC about ready in the wall-off. That'll be done fairly soon as the grenade pops the queen up in the sky, and just going to see these couple of banshees coming around. They're just going to find themselves dealing some damage here with the Overseer not quite in position. Overseer here in a moment. He gets a queen. Nicely done by Clem. So he finds one queen with the banshees so far. His next step from Serral is Baneling's speed. Again, it was that faster there, but he's also not too slow on the upgrades. So Bane speed in 1-1 pretty quick, and no sign of Aspire just yet on Evergreen. I don't mind the lack of Aspire. I'd actually I wonder if there's going to be pure Ling Bane into the Hive Tech very quickly, or if he just adds on a Hydralisk Den to really solidify, because this is a map where I think sometimes the Hives can go a long way to really hold in positions. They can hold a lot of like concaved areas against the choky area the Terran has to push through to reach the bases. In the end, it is just going to be a Spire from Serral, so you will play into Mutalisk eventually. It took a little while to get there as these Banshees try and come through. They're really looking for a cancel on the 4th base, but Serral consistently keeping the queens nearby enough that Clem just won't be able to do anything, right? He gets there, he gets a shot off, the queens are there again, right? So, and Serral's also moving his queens away, they're spreading creep, etc. Also maybe gives Clem the idea of, oh, I can get in here. It's one scan for one active tumor. I mean, that barely feels worthwhile if the queen's still here, right? I don't think that scan really gives you much other information, so I do feel like that was not so great, as Clem very aware of the fact that Serral is very capable of running by Lings into that third, so he keeps his Hellions over there. Man, there's a lot of Ling Bane at the moment. I mean, with the Hellions here, I feel like you could maybe fight that. Without the Hellions, I don't like this at all, and Clem's Siege is up to potentially take the fight. I'm not going to lie, I'm not a huge believer in this fight, because now Serral split up on two different sides. There's only one Siege tank. Clem catches and cancels one Bane. I mean, he loses the Siege tank here, but he saves everything else, I guess, right, is the idea. So yeah, I guess he saves everything else, and it does come out to be very cost efficient in the end from Serral. Now he brings the Hellions across too. What is he doing in terms of factory production, though? Okay, he's going to continue to build Siege tanks. Adds the second factory as well. I think because he's not seen the mutas yet, he's kind of thinking, okay, this is Ling Bane, or at least Ling Bane Hydra, right? So he's continuing to build tanks. When he realizes it's Mutalisk, he'll start drilling claws and go Widow Mines. I'm almost certain of it. Another single Siege tank setup down here is Serral. Sets up another few Banes morphing in. The Hellbats here as well. Obviously a good front line to help you tank a little bit. And Clem has 2-2 start behind this. He already gets one of the queens in the mineral line. Mutas fly in. They get taken down pretty quickly here. Banes are rolling into some of the initial Hellbats. Mutas trying to come around the back. Tank goes from Siege. Will get off creep to continue running away from those Banes. Hatchery goes down, and that's Clem killing the 4th base of Serral here already. He's going to do a bit of a split on the Medivacs. This one has units inside, though. It's not going to have a boost. He has to unload. I liked it for Clem so much until he lost a lot in the very end. He obviously losing pretty much everything. Scan on that far right-hand side. Going to be seeing 2-2 upgrades still coming in from Clem, the Ling Bane army. Back into the center. Mutalisk's joining up as well. There's that +1 flyer attack on the Spire with the 2-2 melee upgrades still coming into play. Our Overlord speed on the way up as well. This command center of Clem on the front line. So getting that set up. Mutas want to fly in. A few other Marines coming in from the bottom, chasing those Mutas away up through into the middle of the map. Again, 2-2 melee, a little delayed from Serral. Was not starting that well under that pressure from Clem. And Clem, with fun seeing the Mutas, like I said, goes into the drilling claws, goes into Widow Mines, the Thor. Wonder if that was maybe his intention all along. Probably not, right? 2 extra tanks on top of having lost 2 in the game. I feel like in that regard, it's difficult to kind of say, oh yeah, he was kind of planning this. Yeah, these Banshees, though, are kept alive, and this is the power of keeping Banshees alive. Someone as good as Clem keeps them alive all this time, and boom, now you find 4 drones, maybe some Banes, maybe more drones. In fact, it's more drones, right? Okay, he's actually going to decide to go for the Banelings and then some drones. Bit of everything, 7 workers, multiple Banelings picked off. He's going to get to 9 workers killed. This Banshee probably gets 1 more. Beautiful play. Great usage of the Banshees. Kept alive for such a long period here. And eventually they come back and they strike and they do a lot more. Wow. Clem's playing... I mean, Clem always plays great lately. And He's playing great once again here. Serral makes his way to Hive Tech, so checking his next choice as we do see the Marines and the Widow Mines. There's still a couple of tanks familiar as well. Kind of a part of this. Unfortunately, those few Banes kind of ran into a bit of this army a little bit too soon. Did he kill off the Widow Mines though? No, the Widow Mines, they're just spread out. Okay, there's a few of them still in the back, right? For a moment, I was like, where'd the Widow Mines go? Did I miss them dying? But no, they are still there as the Banes. It's not a roll in. I like these fights from Clem so far. Feels like a lot of Banes are going down without much else being done. A couple Widow Mines won't do much here, but the Lings aren't exactly making major progress very quickly. The Widow Mine shot on those Marines though hurts. Thor hitting the Clem's up set of mutas. Extra Bane's about to be ready. Clem can sit off creep. Needs to get some reinforcements over here though. And that's difficult to do when you're slowed down dealing with the run-by attacks that are obviously being fairly successful up until this point. A Widow Mine picked off before it can fire on the mutas. They're going to go for the siege tanks here. The reinforcements like here. He's going to drop back down this position. Clem's going to try and fight this spot. More Widow Mines growing up. The rest of his reinforcements showing up as well, so it's not a bad call. The Thor also saved on low HP. Only a couple of Banes remaining until the rest of the reinforcements show up, but they're quite far away, so Clem has plenty of time to split and handle them. And he's doing just that for the moment. Fire army back up the right, Lings and Banes. One in a roll, and again, the Thor here gets another shot off before it gets lifted by the medevac. And those mutas are getting lower and lower in HP. I mean, the health bars are all red and orange right now. And Clem's not letting up the pressure, but he's on creep here. The Banes get a bit of a better roll in. Now the Thor goes down. Wow, he actually loses all of the Widow Mines here. Widow Mine doesn't blow up or anything, just rolls Banes into each and every Widow Mine, and that really hurts. Clem's army back into the center of the map. A scan up the top side, a hatchery in the top left. Still this bio army of Clem. Into the center of the map, more Mutalisks around this left-hand side as well. Adrenal Gland setting up, +3 carapace on the Evo chamber. Command Center gets cancelled. Widow Mine gets cancelled. CC that she just straight up gets killed. So Clem can slow down a little bit. The Muta's able to get aggressive, and finally Serral finding a chance to get some damage done. So able to slow Clem down a little bit and to take the momentum back in his hands. Perfect time for him then to get 3 upgrades and Adrenal Gland started. I don't see an Ultralisk Cavern yet though. Oh, now I do. I mean, that's obviously the next step as well, right? It's the typical kind of way to go about this. Ultralisk Cavern with the 3 and Adrenal Gland upgrades, and these mutas in a little bit of a corner. They do find a way out without taking any losses, really. Pretty impressive. Even the Overseers with low HP managed to survive that. Serral gets maxed out. Resources lost. Favoring Clem in a game where obviously Serral just has mined more in the last 2 or 3 minutes, especially getting up to some extra bases. Failing run by, gonna get shut down pretty quickly. Can't do anything there. Gets a depot. If that's the most you're finding, that's not great, although Clem does need some more depots to make sure he doesn't get completely blocked. I feel like the interesting thing is that Serral's never had like a crazy high Mutalisk count, right? It's always been very Lingbane heavy with almost like more supporting Mutalisks. You know, he's never had like 20 plus Mutalisks all at once. And in that regard, it's been, you know, that's why these mutas maybe haven't been as aggressive across the map until now. Run by from Serral on the left, big push from Clem on the right. 2 different armies going at each other already. These Banes getting cleaned out. There's medevac making a play to the top side. Couple Widow Mines inside of it. Banes continue to roll forward. The Thor. And that's going to survive that. There's a lot of Banes that just went down as Serral has got another round morphing in. But he actually doesn't have anything else to support these Banelings, really. So it's just the Banes. Just so many of them continue to come in. And Clem going to try and set up some Widow Mines. They're just not going to find the connections that they need. The Thor drops down once more, though. Another Widow Mine does okay. The drop of Clem to the top side didn't really do much as Clem keeps on running. Serral is going to chase. He's starting to get a lot of these medevacs, and now he's just going to stream into this army, which isn't really ready to fight from Clem. It's just kind of the tail end of units that was trying to, you know, trail into this fight. It's just not going to be enough as the mutas are starting to overwhelm. These Marines are going down, and Serral really does have too much here. GG is called, and Serral will take game 1 of this best of 3 in the Douyu Cup Group C over Clem. So maybe let's hope for another long one. As we do start out on the bottom left-hand side. Down a map, our Team Liquid Terran is Clem. Bottom right, our red Zerg from NC Sports is Serral, really doing a fantastic job. Wonderful play from him to consistently handle that aggression of Clem. You know, he never let that Clem pressure get a bit too much. He never let that Clem pressure build up to be too high or anything along those lines. And Serral will move out onto the map. A couple of drones already building from Serral as well. Getting that set up and going for the hatchery first. No surprises. There's no SCVs on the map either, though, so we are going to at least get a setup for the next little stage of the game without too many issues, which is always a positive for me. Racks in the main base, and we do just see our overlords moving around. So again, yeah, not much to talk about in terms of the openers. So let's talk about the map a little bit. You know, this gold base is pretty much the real defining feature of how these games play out. And of course, we can talk about the whole bottom side dynamic, but that comes into play way less often than this gold base does. And obviously, there are cool things you can do to the bottom side, but this gold base really allows the Terran to take a 3 base, very powerful economy, and then a faster 4th base. And that's the way we've seen Clem especially playing on this map lately. Takes a fast 4th base off that gold, so has a really powered up 4 base play. And while you can't be super aggressive and rally push on this map until you get to this base here, you can kind of handle the kind of the onslaught of the Zerg economy because of the gold booster, which then gives you this base, and then you kind of get control of the top left, so these bases come quite easily. And that's generally the way it plays out from the Terran player's perspective. As we do have the SCV is going to make its way just over to block the 3rd hatch location. So trying to slow down a 3rd base from being taken. Clem will have the Reaper to then back that up in the next few moments. This Reaper going to move up into the natural. Fuelings get here, and the Reaper takes a few shots of damage. Bit of back and forth. The grenade goes down. That's a drone flung up into the sky. Doesn't quite get the Zergling there in the back as we see the link speed still coming up. Reaper gonna hop down, go up into the 3rd base where the SCV abandoned. Yeah, just Serral saying I don't want a fast 3rd this time. I'm gonna keep mining gas. Last game with 1 gas, this time with 2 workers in gas. So Serral doing that a little bit differently, and that means he will be on an even faster lair if he wants a faster lair here. I mean, 2 base or super early 3 base Mutalisk has been a big go-to as of late. As this Reaper settles down on the right side, Starport is building on the main. We do see the Overlord just continuing over the far left. This Reaper back from the natural into the center. And we do just see the Tech Lab going to be finishing very, very soon as our lair. Building from Serral, about to finish in the main. We do have a drone of Serral going to go to that 3rd base location as well. So it's going to be able to set that up. So yeah, here's the 2 base lair. So, I mean, it's Golden Wall, right? This map works great for 2 base openers because you can obviously, if the mutas, you always got this bottom side of the map you can hide away on, so they're always going to have a safe way out. And it's just a good way of getting you kind of set up with a bit of control. Clem sees the 3rd base fairly late here from Serral, so should have a good idea of what this could be. I don't feel like Serral's the kind of player who's just going to drop a Nidus network and a Roach Roar and try and win this game, right? This is absolutely a Aspire. You can see all the gas is being taken too. Aspire, get Bane speed up, and just play that, you know, again, I guess the more meta-focused kind of ZvT opener, which is get your mutas out quickly, you know, get your Balin speed up early as well, use that instead of upgrades, and then really just delaying those 1-1 upgrades. However, there's a single Evo chamber from Serral, so maybe something a bit different. I wonder. So yeah, usually you just go double Evo chamber, but very late. I wonder if this is like maybe some kind of like 1 Evo chamber so you can get Carapace upgrade already. I mean, what's Clem up to right now as well is worth mentioning. It's pretty standard, right? 6 Hellions into 3rd CC. It is that build I kind of was starting to mention earlier before the Tech Lab moved to the side and it was Cloak Banshees. So that Stim Pack into Liberator. So is this Evo chamber for Carapace? Do you invest into that before you build mutas, or do you just wait it out? You go Carapace and Bane speed now, but then how many mutas are you going to be able to afford? Pretty good question. The Liberator to the main base to try and deal some damage. The Hellions back around to the top side, and there are a couple of drones which have to pull away there pretty quickly. Spore Crawler cancels. I was just making sure that drone didn't go down. This is what, 8 Hellions? So a good amount of Hellions that are going to try and run by into the natural. Do they want to commit? I mean, Clem was very cautious about not committing last time. Let's do the same here. The Liberator in the main base getting a few drones. Actually gets 4 worker kills. One of the workers went down to the Hellions. So that's 5 kills in total. And now actually getting some of the lava. So he's actually going to cancel some of the mutas and stuff that are on the way up. Which is also a bonus. I mean, this is a huge amount of lost mining time from Serral as well. So a very successful Liberator from Clem keeps it alive. And at the same time is looking for some damage with these Hellions. He's going to get a bunch more Lings. Okay, well, this is dangerous right now. These drones are running around. He decides to go for the natural instead of continuing on the third. Muta's popping. How much damage can he do here as Clem? 8 workers killed, now 9. Gets to 12. Can he get a couple more shots off? Gets 13. 13 mutas, a lot of mining time lost. Sorry, 13 drones, a lot of mining time lost. But now mutas on the map that you at least get to see. I mean, there's a few ways you can look at this. So we do see the 1-1 upgrades, the combat shield. Full building from Clem at the moment. The third CC lifts off, goes to the third base location. We'll take that gold. No surprises there at all. And again, definitely expecting this from Clem to be a 4th base and continuation in towards, especially now with Muta's Widow Mines behind this. So a second factory for drilling claws and so on. Just going back up. A couple of Marines taking some damage and... just going to see how 1-1 upgrades about to be done from Clem. That's going to be one of his big advantages here, right? Being on 1-1 against 0-0. And some of these mutas starting to fall down. So 3 mutas lost for not much damage gained. And that's actually a bit of a problem for Serral. You can't really go around losing mutas like this because the more mutas you lose, the less afraid the Terran player is going to be. The less you have to take, to stop the Terran player from pushing back against you. A couple of SCVs go down already. These few Marines from the left side out to push the mutas away. And we do see a lot of Lings in the center. Oversee overhead. Dropping a Changeling down as well. Viking fires. Mutas take a shot. Still these Marines continuing through. I love what Serral's done here, though. He set up a bit of a flank in the middle of the map somehow. Just using the kind of the height of this map, I guess, to hide his units away. And he jumps on Clem, and Clem can't do anything despite the upgrade lead. That's a good start of Serral after this. It's not looking pretty for him. That's a good Widow Miner start from Clem, though. Still has the upgrade advantage. I don't like Serral continuing to go for this, but Serral's basically all in, right? Like, Serral never started the Evo Chambers, so if he never starts the Evo Chambers, he basically just has to go for this. I mean, he started one Evo Chamber, and he now starts the Carapace upgrade, but that's not intentional. Like, that was not forgotten. That was intentional. He decided, I have to do some damage here now, and he went for it, and he just didn't find anything at all, so this is brutal, right? 2-2 is on the way as +1 Carapace starts from Serral. So Clem with a huge upgrade advantage, and that's why Clem wasn't really able to fight in the middle either. Not only was it a great flank, but it's also a swarm of units because there's been nothing but unit production from Serral. He's even still sat at 53 drones here. And Clem, well, he's got the second factory up, so again, 4th base would generally be the next step, but I wonder if he just feels like he can end the game based on what Serral has been up to here. I mean, I definitely wouldn't disagree if you just throw your full army at Serral right now. Does he not just kind of roll over and die a little bit? I mean, it's a possibility, right? There's definitely potential for it there. The Queen's coming back. The Widow Mine shot is great. Next Widow Mine shot does splash a bit onto the Terran, but we have got some Ling Bane of Serral still around the top, and Clem. I'm loading into the middle of the map, trying to push forward. The Marines and a couple Widow Mines getting there. The Ling Bane getting chased away. Pushed away to the upper left-hand side. 2-2 attack and armor upgrade still building on the engineering base. And there's going to be the command center from Clem on the left. Still building to that 4th base we mentioned. So he's going to have a follow-up to all of this as he continues on to the creep spread now. Well, he'll stem. I mean, obviously fighting on creep is always dangerous. Good splits away from the Banelings, though, and the army of Clem is just going to be way too much. And Clem's realizing it as well. He pushes forward. He gets creep spread. These Banes are only just finishing in time. Serral's about to have a Carapace upgrade, which absolutely will help. But then 2-2 is going to kick in, and this Terran army is just going to be absolutely monstrous. The Banes aren't near anything. The next Banes are going to get cancelled, and Serral really doesn't have much left at all. And this is going to be pretty much just guaranteed to go to game 3, right? How does Clem mess up this fight? Or how does Serral turn it around? I just don't think there's a way. And Serral will come in, the Ling Bay meter trying to fly through. These Marines will get cleaned up, but it's the cost of which it comes, right? You know, Serral loses so much in this process. He's still down on workers. He's still down in upgrades. And Serral hanging on for the moment, but the rest of this Clem army reinforcing. Widowmine gets a shot off. I mean, the creep got pushed back, right? So now you're having to kind of fight further, you know, back than before, basically, as Serral actually having to fight off creep, which isn't pretty. And there's just so few banelings. Comes kiting back into Widow Mines, which are going to trade to the Terran right away there. Hits onto the bio. That wasn't pretty. He actually is missing concussive shells, which maybe help out as well. Concussive shells slow down some of these Banes. Maybe could have caught a couple there, but I mean, Clem, when you're able to kind of essentially siege up outside the Zerg base here without the creep spread to help the Zerg, it's going to be too much. And Serral knows it. GG, and we're going to a third game between Serral and Clem. As we kick this off, we start in the bottom right-hand side with the blue Terran player from Team Liquid. Give it up if you're cheering on Clem. Signing up on Golden Wallers in the top left side. Our red Zerg is Serral. And just a very quick mention, especially because this one's going to be on YouTube, let's not lie. That if you do enjoy the content, check out the Patreon page if you'd like to support further. Patreon.com/WardiTV helps us support and run our own tournaments. Even more StarCraft 2 tournaments for you guys. Well, the third and final game. Again, just best of threes here. Who knows? Maybe these guys meet further on in the tournament. They both make out of that group. Maybe we see a best of 5 in the playoffs. Halsey out of Clem making this a 3-game series, or just obviously an awesome matchup lately. It was fun because we saw Clem and Serral in the Xel'Naga Finest event a few months back, right? In April or so. And Clem reverse swept Serral to win that out. And then, obviously, it was kind of like everyone was kind of excited to see Clem Serral. And then in the DreamHack SC2 Masters, it was an awesome series. And here today, it's turned out to be pretty fun as well. Clem obviously dealing a lot of damage with those Hellions and kind of forced Serral to decide to go somewhat all in. And obviously wasn't pretty. As you do see Overlords moving around at the moment. Creeper being taken to the front. Quick question I'll take from the chat that kind of relates to the last game as we have a standard opener here. But why is the gold base on that map considered so good for Terran? The Zerg has one too. Because it's a forward base. So the Terran can very easily, the Terran can drop behind the gold base and deny mining. The Zerg can't really do that, although the meters do help with that. And it's just the location of the base as well. It means the Terran can push into it way more easily. And they can push from their gold base way more easily. So it's exactly the setup you want as a Terran in terms of your bases. And it's the gold. So it's like all around, it's just fantastic for the Terran. So it's pretty great. So yeah, it's in general, gold bases just kind of help those Terran pushes. It's just the way it works as well. Like, there's a lot of reasons, but that was maybe some of the more simpler reasons as to why. Anyways, game number 3. And you see Lung Speed coming up. The hatchery on the third base does go down. Cell moved his drone out without any issues over there. Just gonna see that factory about to finish up, and the third CC is building from Clem. So this time it's a pretty quick 3cc, but it is off double gas. So it's pretty much you basically delay your Hellions. You know, you do delay your Hellions basically to get this third CC as a double gas comes in. Link speed is going to be finishing soon from Serral, and we do just have a starport about to be done in the main. So it kind of is like, it's kind of like this weird mix of it is 1-1-1, but it's also off a super fast third. I remember one time Clem did this build. It was on Eternal Empire. I can't remember who he was playing against, and he then took a third gas in the low ground. I was like, mech? And then he ended up just playing bio, and I was so confused. And in the end, he won the game or the tournament, and I was like, hey, mate, wait, what was the third gas for? You know, I had so many theories, and Clem was just like, I was tired and forgot I'd opened with the double gas 3cc. So I took the extra gas thinking I was on 1 gas. I was like, amazing. Here's me trying to like super analyze the game, and Clem just made a mistake. Not this time, though. Obviously, this time looks good. He is going to go Fusion Course. He is going to go for the Battle Cruiser on Death Aura. Fantastic map for it. Loads of dead airspace. I feel like I'm saying this all the time about Death Aura at the moment, but I mean, if there's a map to go BC on and keep it alive, it's probably Death Aura. Serral sees the Fusion Core, though, so he gets a perfect scout early without having to invest into Overlord speed or anything. So that's a really, really good set of information for Serral to work with right off the bat. So he should be very happy with that. Grenade goes down. Hellions and the Reaper continue to back away. Lings gets around on the first Hellion. Oh, that's huge, because now you can probably justify chasing the Reaper. And then Hellion number 2. That was a nice catch from Serral. Well, Clem, what's he going to do? I was going to say, it feels like he's not... I was going to say it would be weird to kind of play mech. I think he is... I mean, he is now going to build Stim. So he's going to go into Bio as the follow-up to the BC. In this scenario, Serral doesn't want to Spire against the BC, at least. He wants to go... Or he definitely doesn't want Corruptors. He can go Spire and go Mutas. But the Lair's not super quick. So it will be a Queen-based defense, but he doesn't need anything more than that. This is Bio, and it's really important that Serral could maybe try and figure that out. But you saw a Tech Lab on the rack, and I feel like that's already pretty good info. Yeah, I think Serral is not too worried about it. I think he's pretty happy with where we're at the moment. As these Queens are going to move up into the front of the natural here, and just going to be seeing our Stim pack about halfway along. These Hellions will move around the right side. Queens get there. The Hellions get pushed back. Battle Cruiser comes in. Just going to see the Spore Crawler taking a little bit of extra damage, and the Queens come back in to chase the BC away. Overlord is going to get taken down, so that's going to fall. Hey, this is nice still, right? BC gets pushed back, but it's still pretty healthy. It gets an Overlord kill, and the Hellions get surrounded. Beautiful play from Serral. That's just disgusting. He was on the bottom, he was on the top, and he just completely surrounds and shut down the Hellions, and that's massive because now you don't have the Hellions as Clem to keep map control. You don't have the Hellions to protect your third base. And this gives Serral so many opportunities to counterattack, to spread his creep. This is not the sort of control you can let Serral get away with. If you're gonna beat Serral, it is truly not by letting him take the entire map in his favor, right? Like, this is not what Clem wanted in the slightest, as that Spire is on the way from Serral in the natural expansion, so he gets that going. This BC into the middle is looking to get back on, and that Overlord taking some hits. The Queens get here, pushing the BC down the left side. Jimmy gets picked off, BC continues away. The Lings down the right as well. Bunch of these depots setting up across the front, and gonna have our BC. I mean, teleport's available again, so just looking for some extra kills before he has to go home, and that should be the teleport any second now. He's gonna try for a Queen initially, but there's a transfusion from the low ground. And now, as he stuck around a bit too long, he had to get far enough away to get out of range of these Queens, but then the other Queens were able to get the kill in the main, and that's just huge as well. This has just gone from bad to worse for Clem. First he loses the Hellions, now he loses the Battle Cruiser. These are so many investments that you need in the game if you're going to invest into them, and Serral's just going to be starting to overrun at this point. It feels like Clem has had the worst possible start after playing a great game too. And this is nice, get some Zerglings for free. We'll back away, target fires down a couple of Banes as well before lifting and leaving. Combat shields contaminated. Wow, even slowing down the upgrades here, Sally. You don't often see contaminated in ZvT, but sometimes on like a factory, slow down a siege tank, but contaminating combat shields really kind of drawing out the amount of time that Clem has to play with. Just worse Marines than usual. Medevac's loading up the Marines, going to bring them up the right side. The rest of the Marines setting up the tank here as well. Still our Drilling Claws about halfway done, so he is going into that typical Clem follow-up. Widow Mines, getting that fourth base up and running. Definitely not going to be easy, though. As he sees the Mutas. Well, he's going to be able to unload. He actually will catch a Mutalisk, at least on its way over. Well, Serral has some Ling Bane that's going to run in. If you can force this to lift up, he can chase with the Mutas, of course. And you can actually keep on chasing, but there's a siege tank, there's defenses there. I don't think you go much further with Serral, so he's going to back off for the moment. But again, he's controlling the game. He's shutting down drop play. Okay, the Mutas maybe didn't get across into the main as he was aiming for, but at the same time, he shuts down the drop of the Terran, which is more than you need at this stage. He's just taking away every opportunity for Clem to kind of fight his way back. Clem trying to fight on the left side now. Not really finding anything. This fourth base morphing into a planetary. So Clem will get up to the 4 bases at least. I mean, that's a positive. Just getting us around, picking off these rocks. We do have another hatchery in the top right side. So that's going to be base 5 of Serral up and running. As he just stretches that drone count out up toward 90. Of course, with 90 drones in the field, Serral's going to start looking at this game being like, you know, it's time to start trading. And tacking up. Hive on the way down. Obviously, very similar to what we saw back in game number 1. You get the Hive, you get 3-3 adrenal glands. There's so much more you can get done from that point as these units. I mean, Serral's just everywhere ready to trade. He's just going to start running into this already. A couple of Widow Mines. He's like, oh, maybe not, send a few units forward instead. He doesn't really do, he doesn't clean out the Widow Mines. He just set one of them off at least. Oh, that's a nice Widow Mine. Serral a little bit slow to split away. Clem opens the rocks on the other side. I'm a little bit afraid that actually lets Serral have a better, have another option to kind of flank him in a way. As weird as that may be. Well, Serral just says, yeah, I'm going to run into this. My Banes are going to go off before the Widow Mine connects, so picks off even more units. You look at the resources lost, and Clem's, what, 700 ahead? Well, how far behind he's been on the eco? All game spiking in Serral's favor. It's just definitely not been good enough to great. Excuse me, as we do have the medevac lifting up a few units, pulling some units back. Widow Mine is burrowed. Bane of Serral on the right-hand side. Setting up as well. The rest of these Banes getting started. The mutas around into the center of the map. Fire Force trying to get a little bit of extra done. Lings get in, get us around. A couple of SCVs going down as these Banes run by into this mineral line, and there's only 3 SCVs. Lings at the end trying to do a little bit more. The mutas on the middle of the map trying to find some connections, but not finding much. Clem deciding to go around the right side. 5th base already moving in. I mean, if Clem's going to win this, at this stage you pretty much have to play it late, so I don't mind him continue to expand and expand quickly at that. Bane's rolling in, the Thor is there, the Marines are there. Mutas fly in as well. That's a dead missile turret, so it goes down. So missile turret falling, the rest of the bio still pushing through too, and the Widow Mine gets burrowed. Tank and Thor's trying to split back. I'm just trying to survive as another round of Balin starts running forward. There's not enough splash damage here though. Oh, Widow Mine in the back gets a few of these Balins, but the mutas are across the map and they are dealing mega damage. So while the mutas aren't here to shut down these medevacs, they're over here killing 18 workers. Oh, what's that? 3rd base is open as well. Well, there's a missile turret, but that dies to this many mutalists, and he's going to kill even more SCVs. The Thors show up at least, and they will scare this away. Ling already on top of this planetary fortress morphing, and the mutas might be able to get a kill here unless Clem can run into position in time. Serral knows what he can do. He's going to get this kill no matter what. It's worth taking a couple extra shots. 5th base of Clem is denied. Not allowed to happen. And Serral already setting up another run by. There's a gap over here into this mineral line. And Serral is just everywhere on the map, right? He's just not going to stop. He gets a position like this and he's just going to run with it. Splits away from the mines. I mean, he actually leads the mine into the SCV line. And all of a sudden, these SCVs are all super low HP. Could all go down if just a few more Lings were able to make it in. Medevac's even going to stop to heal them up, which means the Medevacs are going to stay drained of energy. Serral on this double rich Vespine base. Didn't even take the gases on it yet. We just come down here again. Clem now trying to expand to the right side. Credit to him. He's kept up a lot of these CCs. He's kept up his CCs building throughout. As Clem's army, I mean, a few good trades and maybe he can get back in this, but he really does need multiple good trades in a row. And this is going to continue being the issue. These units on the counter, but this time there's units in position, not in the natural expansion, however. Not right away, at least. Well, Clem responds, and good defense across the board. Is Clem leaving too much at home, I guess, is the question, because right now Serral's going to run in and clean this up. The Thors are going to keep running. The mutas are going to sit in that dead airspace in the corner. This 5th base not allowed to land, building another base to try and become the 5th over to the side. As now mutas find an unprotected main. And finally, Serral will find another 10 SCVs or so, able to take those down with ease. And the middle is Overseer Force back up to right. Banes will continue to roll in. Just going to see the Thor lifting up. The rest of the Lings running into this as well. Mutas chase into these medevacs, and they're going to find a bunch of kills here as well, right? 13 workers down. Ling Bane just keeps on forward. Clem, his economy is not what it wants to be. His army supply is slipping. And Serral continues to control game 3 of the series at the moment, going in for the CC. Shouldn't get that with the units nearby, but then Ultra's on the map as well. Is there any preparation for Ultra's serious Clem? No. There is zero preparation for Ultralist. He has 3 Marauders on the map. There is only 2 Ultras, but it ain't pretty. I mean, this is okay because the Ultras weren't supported well, but even still, right? The Mutas are looking for the entry points. The Mutas aren't even joining these fights. These Lings are going to get surrounded. Marines, which are already low HP. Extra Banes, extra Ultras showing up. The Mutas are ransacking the main base still throughout all of this. GG is called, and Serral will take this series down 2-1 and will start off this Douyu Cup Group C in style, taking down some tough opponents. Started